I never thought that I could do anything in business. Because I had dyslexia and ADHD, like I'd never been academic.
You know, some of the best entrepreneurs I've had on the podcast are like severely dyslexic and also have ADHD. Like, you guys have a total superpower that other people don't.
And we've got a lot wrong, like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've made every mistake known to man with this thing.
Tell us some big ones.
Oh, over-ordering too much stock. I mean, I've had 5 different types of packaging designs as well because I've got ADHD and I've released something and I don't like it anymore and I redo it again. And then you've got products on the market that's in different bottles. I mean, all sorts of stuff I've done wrong. I also think that the main difference between success and failure, one word, perseverance. If you're not prepared to just grit your teeth and go through it when it all seems impossible.
If Hoxton Gin went tomorrow, what would you be most proud of? And then what also would you be doing?
I would be most proud of giving it a go.
Yeah.
How many people build an international drinks brand? Not that many.
Yes.
So to try,
yeah.
A guy called Bo Benston said to me really early on in my career, you know, the secret to success is hiring good people around you and knowing what you're good at and what you aren't. And I don't know why I didn't heed his advice, because he said that to me 10 years before I started listening to it.
Looking back, what has been the hardest moment in building Hoxton Gin?
Wow.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a shout out to a special sponsor, Sam Lawrence Recruitment. We all know that finding the right people or the right job can feel really overwhelming, and that's exactly where Sam comes in. He really just gets it. It's not just about ticking boxes, it's about connecting the right people with the right opportunities. He takes the time to understand you and exactly what you're looking for, whether you're building a team or taking that next career leap. So definitely get in touch. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. Charlie is a 3-time founding member of Startup Brands, taking each from 0 to 1 million within 18 months. Across different categories, channels and countries, including launching operations in the US and Australia. He is now the founder of Plug-in Brands, an award-winning outsourced FMCG sales agency working with the fast-growth food and drink brands, and Dive-In Agency, a TikTok shop agency helping brands turn social commerce into real revenue. With a background in go-to-market strategy, brand development and distribution through retail and wholesale channels, there isn't anyone better placed to help you supercharge your brand. Charlie and the Plug-in Brands team work with a host of brands, including Moju, Muller, Clipper Tea, Who Gives a Crap, and Lovecorn. So if you're in need of an extra pair of hands to really step on your growth this year, Charlie is the guy you need to be in touch with. Now, if you're running a product business and your inventory lives across spreadsheets, emails, and about 6 different systems, this one's definitely for you. Unleashed is an inventory management platform built for manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers, giving you one source of truth across your stock, orders, and operations. It automates the repetitive stuff too, things like purchase orders, stock updates, low stock alerts, so that your team can focus on growing the business, not firefighting. They're already trusted by brands like Candy Kittens, Perfect Head, Borough Broth, and Refi, and they integrate with tools you're already probably using, including Shopify, QuickBooks, and Salesforce. So if you're scaling a product business and want to get your operations under control, head over and start a free 14-day trial. And as a Getting to Grow listener, you'll get 1 month free using the code GTGPOD. Getting to Grow is also brought to you by the Coconut Collab. And full disclosure, as I'm sure most of you are aware, I work there. So I know how much love goes into everything that we make. We're all about creating delicious, dairy-free, plant-based treats that do not compromise on taste. From our creamy yogurts to our indulgent desserts, everything's made with coconuts and a whole lot of care. If you're looking for something naturally good but seriously tasty, and my favourite is just our natural coconut yogurt, I have it most mornings with granola and lots of honey. Trust me, you're going to absolutely love it.
Welcome back to another episode of Getting to Grow. On this week's episode, we have Gerry Calabrese, the founder of Hoxton Gin. And Gerry has a really interesting story, and I'm very excited to get into it, behind the scenes of what you do day to day, how you started, all the good stuff. So
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. And you're a podcast virgin.
I am a podcast virgin. This is my first one.
Okay,
so
hopefully.
Go easy with me.
I will. Don't worry. Or will I? But you grew up around one of the most famous bartenders in the world, Salvatore Calabrese, which is just like an unbelievable name. Like, I don't know how anyone beats that name. So it's always been in your blood.
It is, yeah.
So when you were growing up, did you always imagine you'd end up building your own drinks brand?
Not even remotely, no.
Okay, take us back to like what you're doing when you're younger, your childhood.
I mean, to be honest, like my old man was kind of like a godlike figure that I saw every other weekend, because he worked at the Duke's Hotel in the 80s when I was very young. So he'd work a weekend off and a weekend on. So I would only ever see him every other couple of weeks at the weekend. And like, you know, so we didn't have, I mean, he was a great father, right? And he worked his socks off to bring us up. But like, you know, I didn't have that sort of connection with him when I was very young. It was only because I've got ADHD and I'm dyslexic. And so school was a torrid time for me.
Yeah.
So like, you know, the only time I suppose I started to get to know my father was really when I did work experience. So I was very lucky that he worked at the Lanesborough Hotel and ran the bar at the Lanesborough in the 90s when I was doing work experience. And I went and did work experience, and that was it. I was like, something clicked. I was like, I can do this. So I virtually, basically, at that point, then bunked off school to go and work in hospitality from about 15. And I did everything from, I mean, I started at pot washing, then I went in the kitchens for a bit, didn't like that too much. It was a bit like being in the army, you know. And then I went front of house, and that's where I found my calling, really. I just love people.
Yeah.
I love talking. I love all that. So and I ended up working in every single department between 14 to 18, I suppose. And that's when me and my dad started to have a connection, because I suppose at that point, like, he respected my work ethic, because like, you know, I mean, I've got my first sort of 100-hour pay slip and I was 16 when I did that.
Yeah.
You know, so kind of we had that connection then, but you know, it wasn't ever a planned thing. It was in my lineage. I grew up around it. I mean, I made a cocktail, I think, when I was 13 years old in the kitchen, and blew the shaker up because I put lemonade into it. So, like, you know, I've always been around it.
Yeah.
But, like, I sort of fell into it, and it made sense for me. And then when I got involved and I was passionate about it, obviously having a father like my dad, I mean, it's mad what he's done. I mean, he grew up in post-war Italy with no shoes and socks on his feet, like, real poverty. Like, his dad died when he was 11, he was 12 years old, he was working, made his first drink at 12. You know, so to have come from that and done what he's done and created this whole legacy is absolutely fantastic. I mean, like, the fact that you put gin and vodka in a freezer is because of my dad. You know, that, like, there is no, that before my dad, that didn't happen, right? Bars, because the bars having freezers behind the bar, or like chilling glasses, I mean, that's my dad's legacy.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that's crazy. So obviously for me, going into the industry, there was like a spotlight on me, right? Because, like, you know, like, no one likes nepotism.
Yeah,
so, like,
true.
you know, for me, like, I had to work really hard to just make sure I was the best of what I could be, and that's what I did. And I also wanted to carve my own way. Like, I grew up watching my dad in sort of a white dinner jacket and dicky bow and DuPont lighter at the ready, and he sort of glides around the room, and I'm like, that just ain't me, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not who I am. So, like, you know, when I fancied being a bartender, I spoke to him, and he wanted to train me, and I was like, look, Dad, like, I want to go my own way. Like, you know, where can I go that's more in keeping with who I am? So he sent me to Lab Bar. I think it was about 2001.
Yeah.
And and Lab was owned by Douglas Ancrews, like the godfather of one-step bartending, came out the Dick Bradshaw School of bartending, and created the Porn Star Martini. And I walked in Lab for the first time in Old Compton Street in Soho, and the whole place just stunk of like lime and mint. And like, there's house music going. There's this cool looking motherfucker behind the bar covered in tattoos called Tolga from South Africa flaring, and three pretty girls sat in front of the bar, and I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah, hang on a minute.
Like, this I can do, right? So that's kind of where I started, like, and started my career in bartending. And then I just got into competitions and doing competitions myself. And I was kind of passionate about, like, great drinks made well at speed.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the foundations of my career, and what I then went on to do, like, owning venues, was like, you know. And then there was a little bit of flirtation with nightlife as well. Like, I used to throw parties around the East End. So, like, I suppose when I then went on to create my first venue, it was kind of an amalgamation of all the things that I loved, which was music and great drinks. You know?
So cool.
Yeah.
What a cool, like, like initial story as well, like what, you know, from your dad. And then you're right, nepotism does, if you're a kid out of it, you have to actually work way harder than anybody else,
Because you've got a spotlight on you,
yeah,
and like people wait for you to fail and like not, and for you not to be as good as what's preceded you. And I just think that, you know, it's great to go into an industry, especially like being Italian as well. You have that whole first son thing. I'm the oldest son, like following in the footsteps, so it's quite nice to sort of pass on a legacy and have a legacy and a thread through our family. But like, you know, you've got to also make your own way, you know,
100%,
and not just be a carbon copy, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you originally then always see yourself like staying behind the bar?
So I did at first. I never thought that I could do anything in business because I had dyslexia and an ADHD. Like I'd never been academic, so like the thought of trying to do anything with numbers or anything like that was completely alien to me. And I left school quite young. But then when I started relating it to a pound note, all of a sudden maths and numbers started to make sense because like, oh right, see, okay, revenue. Okay, I get revenue. And it's weird how they don't teach maths in that context in school.
It's crazy how they don't teach it. And also, you know, some of the best entrepreneurs I've had on the podcast are like severely dyslexic and also have ADHD. Like you guys have a total superpower that other people don't. And it's mental how it's not honed in an environment in school where actually if you have that, you can't do a normal academic, you know, literature that people are set out to do because your brain doesn't work like that.
100%. And even like the times of the day. Like, you know, I'm best at night. Like I can't do emails and things like that in the morning or during the day. I'll do that at night. It's weird, like it's just something that's ingrained in me. So like trying to sort of conform to a sort of like school environment where it's 9 to 3 and very prescriptive every day, you get burnt out and you can't focus and you can't get your attention. So it's a weird thing. But I think that's what's great about being an entrepreneur is you get to mold your own time and work the way you want to work. I mean, frankly, I'm unemployable, which is probably why I've ended up.
I was going to say, I think you'd be hard to employ because you have so much energy and you want to do this. I can like get that from you already. Also, can I just say, I think I've met my match in terms of like decibel.
Oh, really?
I am so loud and everyone's always saying to me, you're so loud. And I'm like, and what?
I am noisy, but I mean, mostly because I'm mutton, right? Because I've spent so much of my time in nightlife where the speakers have been loud. So like, I'm honestly, I think I need to go and gear up for some hearing aids or something because I'm always being told, mate, you're talking so loudly the whole fucking room can hear you.
Yeah, me too. Like I'm literally exactly the same. My boyfriend will probably have tinnitus at the age of 40. But I'm like, look, there's other benefits, you know, we have a laugh. So let's go back to when the moment for the idea for like Hoxton Gin first came to you. It was in the early 2010s and the gin kind of scene was really booming.
So it was a bit before that.
A bit before that?
Yeah, like the idea.
The idea, yeah.
Like, because like I sort of worked and was establishing bars that were heavily aimed at young people. And like, I mean, when I opened the Pony, which was 2008, I was passionate about gin and I had 40 different types of gin on my back shelf at that time, which was more gin than anyone else had in the country. I think there was only one other bar in the country that had as much gin as me, and that was the Bramble in Edinburgh, right? So the gin market just wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
And I love gin because of the way it's versatile and there's so many different variations of botanicals and all sorts of, it gives it, like within mixology and bartending, it gives you a great canvas for a drink. But I kind of looked on my back shelf and I was like, I had all these cool creative, I mean, it was in Shoreditch, right? So it was like peak hipster culture. So I have all these creative types coming in and out of my bar, all under 30. And I'm like, well, even the gins that are kind of aimed at them in terms of taste, like in the botanical profiling, like it was at the start of new Western style gins with like Hendrix, Cucumber and Rose on the 4-note, less juniper driven. I suppose the first new Western style gin was probably Tanqueray 10, grapefruit innovation. And then Aviation as well was doing its thing, G-Vine as well. And I thought, well, if you look at those bottles, you know, Hendrix Gin, Victoriana medicine bottle, you know, steeped in history and provenance, Tanqueray 10, Art Deco, same Aviation. I thought, well, if you can do a product that's kind of aimed at young consumers in terms of not just what's in the bottle, but like how it speaks to them in branding and packaging and all that stuff. There might be an opportunity. And also, because I was passionate about gin was a declining market at that point. So I was like, well, what's lasted 350 years and not evolved or developed in time, and kept up with time? Because otherwise, if you don't engage new drinkers, then the category declines and eventually it disappears. So that was my starting point. And I'd worked as a brand ambassador for a company in France called Gabriel Boudier in 2005. And like these guys are like experts at putting real fruit into booze. So like their creme de cassis, I'm getting a bit geeky now.
No, I love it.
But their creme de cassis is like, in my opinion, the best creme de cassis in the world. They're using like 650 grams of fresh fruit per litre of alcohol.
Wow.
Now, any more fresh fruit, you're basically an alcoholic jam. Right,
Yeah.
and that is very difficult to do because, like, as soon as you put that much fruit in something, as soon as you open it, you get oxidization. So, like, and that's why fresh fruit isn't used in spirits a lot, because it oxidizes and it changes the taste and the tannin and all the rest of it. So it's very difficult to use real fruit in booze in that way. So I thought, well, I've got this relationship. I want to try and reimagine what gin is, was kind of a starting point. And to be honest, my only kind of, I suppose, modus operandi in the whole thing was to serve it in my own bars. It wasn't like I was turning into, I wasn't trying to create a business. I just had this bar and I wanted to create something for my customers. And I went out to see the guys in France and said to them, I've got this idea and would they support me? And they would. So I went away and started to think about what I could do. And I thought, well, if I tinker with botanicals, it's just another variation of what it's always been. So I thought, what could really rip the rule book up? So I rested on coconuts.
I love
Who the
coconut.
fuck puts coconut in gin? Well, apparently I do. So and that's where I started with. That's where I started with the idea of putting coconut, because that's just so alien.
So
to
this
gin.
is your original one here,
Yeah,
the
tropical
coconut.
gin. So that little bad boy there in the yellow.
It's cool. And tell me about the squares. What does this represent?
Hoxton Square.
Ah.
So if you look at Hoxton via a bird's eye view, it's a perfect square. So that's the whole idea behind the variations of the square.
That's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of, like, I think you have to rip up the rule book. Like, you can't bring something same to market. You're right. Like, it won't work. Like, it needs to be disruptive. It needs to be different. It needs to be loud.
I was really taken apart by the industry as well. Like, I had an incident with Simon Difford, I love Simon. He's a great guy, but who ran Class magazine at the time. And he put the bottle upside down on his page of shame because he didn't constitute it a gin. So I was quite public about it. I was like, look, Simon, what's lasted all this time? 350 years of evolution, and like it's declining. Like, if you want the category to last, you've got to find a way of getting young drinkers involved in the category, almost as a stepping stone. So it's like, right, if they're engaged with Hoxton, surely that's a good thing. Then they might go on and try Hendrix, then they'll go on and try something else, and so on and so forth. But if you don't have a stepping stone on the way into the category that appeals to young consumers, then it will die. I mean, it's happening with whiskey at the moment. So it's like, you've got to do this stuff. And at the end of the day, I like to think that I was proven to be right, because now the gin market's like crazy. And there's lots of variations of gin that are very different, and I was one of the first to do it, which is good.
I also feel like lockdown had a big part to play in gin. Like, it was a real time that people were at home a lot and trying different drinks and having it at home. And certainly when I was drinking a lot more gin than I ever
It was the only way
did.
we got through, right? I mean, it was
Literally.
I was climbing the walls like a cat.
People were either like doing one thing, they were either like getting really healthy, like Joe Wick's bloody dumping about there.
I wasn't that guy.
No.
I was boozing.
Or you were boozing in the sun, and like literally there were two ends of the spectrum. So you were very intentional with your like kind of ripping up the rule book.
Yeah.
But this, as you said, was only for the people that were coming to your bar at the time.
Yeah, I wasn't intending for it to be a business. But I was fortunate. So if I go back a bit, like I'd sort of always worked and lived in East London. It's just where I feel at home. I'm from East London originally, but like, when I sort of started setting out my stall as a bartender, I used to love working in East London. No, it's just the vibe, the creativity, the energy. I think East London represents sort of a microcosm of everything that's great about London. It's diversity, it's like cross-culturally, the
Yeah.
fashion industry. Think about like the YBAs that were all squatting around there back in the 90s, like the warehouse parties. Like I just love that area. And like I'd lived there, and I used to run a bar called Meat, which was a 24-hour cocktail bar.
Whoa.
Right, in 2005. It was peak, which was just a nuts place. And I had this crazy guy called Edward Cousinel, who was high up. You would hate me for saying his name. He was high up in the city. He was a city headhunter.
Yeah.
And he used to be my best customer. So
No way.
Ed used to come in on a Tuesday at me, and because it was 24 hours, he'd come in on a Tuesday and leave his car behind the bar and pick it up the following Thursday, right?
Oh my God.
So anyway, I got to know him really well, and we ended up, and I couldn't afford it, but he could. I ended up being his flatmate. So, like, I ended up in this penthouse flat on the corner of Fanshawe Street. Now, bearing in mind, at that point, I'm a GM, like, and the wages were crap back then. I mean, I was paid, like, under 30 grand a year. But I'm living in this flat on this street, in Fanshawe Street, which is right behind Hoxton Square. And, like, it was a bit of a party flat, and we got to know all our neighbours. Now, that street was mad, right? You had Stuart Trevor, the founder of All Saints, who owns Stuart Trevor, the fashion brand now.
Whoa.
You had Mark Gillespie, who owned 360 Group, who managed Mark Ronson, Calvin Harris, all these cats, right? You had a guy who's high up at Deutsche Bank. You had like a guy called Michael Hart, who's sadly not with us anymore, who's the youngest ever a partner at a Magic Circle law firm, like corporate partner, who actually helped me set the company up. And I just thought to myself, well, all these guys are like here and in Shoreditch because it's cool. But yeah, anytime they're going on a date or having a business meeting, they're going into town. So I kind of sat there and thought, well, if I can open a bar on the doorstep that is still cool, but is high-end enough in terms of service delivery that these guys will go, I'll be onto something.
Yeah.
So that was the foundations of the Hoxton Pony. And then I found a pool hall that was doing $6,000 a week at the time in revenue. Managed to get investment, and opened it in 2008. A couple of weeks after my first kid was born, which is insane. No wonder that marriage didn't last. and that was it. And then like all of a sudden, like Mark sending me Mark Ronson to play, and Calvin Harris, and it just became this whole zeitgeist moment. Like, it was crazy. And it's probably the only thing I've ever done in business that just worked first time. Like, everything else after that's been hard yards, right? But that thing, for whatever reason, it just went, right? And
that's so cool.
Yeah. And that's where, like, you know, so then because I had the pony and I'd just done Hoxton, all of a sudden, you know, the thing's getting photographed with, like, Ed Sheeran or, like, Calvin Harris or, back then, Gavin and Stacey were a thing, so Matt Horn like having a drink, and
whoa,
that's how, you know, that. So it was just like this moment in time, and it ended up with like Agnes Dean's kid sister Emily Dean holding a bottle of Hoxton on the front cover of the Evening Standard, with "Vodka's dead, gin sees new resurgence in London thanks to Hoxton." Like, you can't write like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then off the back of that, I was approached by a distributor. And the distributor says to me, like Gerry, we love what you're doing, all this marketing, it's so cool. We want to turn this into a proper business. Like, we'll support you. We'll take on the supply chain. We'll buy the product. We'll distribute it, and then we'll give you a commission in every case we sell. I think, great. I mean, at this point, I'm under offer on my second bar, and my whole itch is to grow a bar business. So I did that deal, and that's pretty much how it stayed till 2019. And then 2019, at that point, I had, I think, 7 venues across London, housing 3,500 people, like 100 staff. I mean, the whole thing was giving me mad angina. Right?
Yeah,
So
I can
stressed.
imagine.
And like, it was just a lot, right? And I barely ever slept. And like the whole thing, and I was about to become a dad again, and I kind of had enough of everything, and I needed a break. So I decided that I was going to sell up. And then I'm like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, we've got Hoxton, so let me think about that. So I then bought the distributor out of the agreement we had, ripped it up, and went on to sort of set up distribution myself and start investing and getting a little team together. And that's how it all started properly. From like 2019 onwards is when it started to become a proper business.
Whoa, I'm just taking a bit of that. That's like, and I don't think I've ever had a story quite like that.
Really?
No.
Well, that's
nice. Pretty insane.
I mean, it's been a bit of a mad ride, I've got to be honest. And you don't realise until you tell someone else, actually.
Well, yeah, when you sit down and speak about it, it's so rare someone says tell me about your last 20 years.
Yeah. It's been a mad ride.
That has been mental. And
we've got a lot wrong. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've made every mistake known to man with this thing.
Tell us some big ones.
Oh, over-ordering too much stock.
Yeah.
I mean, that was horrendous. I mean, I've had 5 different types of packaging designs as well because I've got ADHD and I release something and I don't like it anymore and I redo it again. And then you've got products on the market that's in different bottles. I mean, all sorts of stuff I've done wrong. So it's been a mad old ride. It really has.
Yeah, whoa, I mean,
we're not even really scratching the surface.
No, we're literally not. At the time, in terms of the category and the gin, when you then took it back over and you were right, this is going to be my focus, I'm going to put my time and energy into that. What was your aim at that point?
I wasn't sure. What happened was I got run over. I got run over.
What?
Yeah. Just after I sold the business, I got run over and I broke my leg in 4 places.
Oh.
Compound fracture, the whole 9 yards. It was pretty bad. Obviously we didn't know COVID was around the corner, and then COVID happened, and I had what was called a non-union fracture. So basically, their first operation, they put a metal thing in my leg to get my bones to come back together.
Do you beat when you go to the airport now?
No, they don't do that anymore because you've got to do this whole scanning thing.
Oh, yeah, that radioactive one,
so
of course.
Yeah. So I ended up on a walking stick for 2 years and not being very mobile throughout COVID because I couldn't get an operation to fix the non-union fracture. So I then spent those 2 years researching the booze business. And that's what I did during that time just to keep myself sane. And the thing that kind of I saw was this opportunity around flavour. Obviously, I'd already released Tropical Gin, and that was flavour forward. And the one thing that sort of jumped off the page is that, young consumers are now category agnostic. And what I mean by that is that if I grew up a whiskey drinker, generally I'm going to stick in my lane, right? I'm going to drink whiskey. If I'm going to go to the bar, I'm going to probably have a whiskey cocktail. When I go to the supermarket, I'm probably going to buy a whiskey if I want to buy a drink. And my main reason for doing that is because I like whiskey as a category.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at youth consumption, and it's pretty much a global phenomenon now, number one criteria for purchase is flavour beyond everything else. Right? Flavour first. They're now category agnostic, so they'll flip between whiskey to rum to gin to rum to tequila, without any real allegiance. And their reason for doing so is flavour beyond everything else. And this is backed up by statistics, And if you look at the flavour category, it's due to grow 17% year on year for the next 5 years. Yet most traditional spirits are declining by 2% because of youth consumption. So I'm right, well, that poses a problem and an opportunity. Problem is, trade hates flavour. So bartenders generally hate flavoured products. For 3 reasons, in my view. Number one, big brands have been using it to brand block for decades. So what I mean by brand blocking is that they'll do a deal where they'll support a bar with a check and go, look, we want you to stock our vodka, pour our vodka, and we'll write you this check. But we want these 15 flavour expressions on the back shelf. And you know what? We don't really even care if you sell them. It's means of advertising, right? Brand blocking. Number 2, flavours full of junk, primarily, mostly. So if you had the same labelling requirements on booze as you do our food, most of these things won't get out the gate. You're talking 600 to 800 grams of sugar per litre of alcohol, in a lot of cases. E-numbers, synthetic ingredients, synthetic flavours, terrible stuff. And then number 3, it's perceived as cheap. so I'm not going to mention any specific brands, but there's a lot of brands that operate in the flavour space and they're cheap. Well, because what they're doing is they're taking a core product that they already have and then they're just adding a load of E numbers or a load of synthetic flavours into it post-distillation.
Yeah.
So it's just not in keeping with the traditions of fine spirit manufacturing. So I thought, well, if I could create a range of flavoured spirits which are as natural as possible, and in keeping with the traditions of fine spirit making, and is perceived as premium, then bartenders will start using them, because ultimately the largest demographic going out and frequenting bars and restaurants are younger people. So we should have flavours around to stay. So let's create some products that are actually good products, not just a sort of cynical ploy to create some more volume, which is really what the flavour category is at the moment. It's quite cynical from big booze companies with minimal effort just to create some extra volume off of existing lines.
Yeah, and it's interesting actually, because you're right. Like if I go out for drinks with my friends and they're gin drinkers, they'll always get a flavoured gin.
There you go.
Yeah, it's...
And quite a lot of the time, that flavoured gin will contain junk. It will be a synthetic flavouring. Whereas what we're doing is real maceration. So if you think about, if you put a tea bag in hot water, right, and you're going to drink it, you're not drinking tea, you're drinking hot water, which has taken on the characteristics of the tea via osmosis.
Yeah, of course.
And that's essentially what maceration is. You're getting the booze, you're putting real fruit into it, and you're turning it and cooking it over time for the booze to take on the taste and characteristics of that flavour.
Yeah.
Inherently expensive, complicated to do, because you have to test. If you go, okay, we'll create a banana rum.
Yeah.
Right? How do you know how long you should macerate that banana for in that rum in order to create the optimum extraction? Well, you don't know until you test it.
Absolutely.
So you try it at 5 days. You try it at 5 weeks. You try it at 10 weeks.
Yeah, it's constant testing.
Thing. You've got 12 years of painstaking product development on that table there in front of you. It's crazy. I mean, the banana rum, I was doing that during lockdown, and I was messing around cooking bananas forever and a day.
You weren't making banana bread then, like everyone else.
I was cooking around, but I was cooking bananas into rum. It was a bit boozy in my house. And
can imagine, actually.
I was getting all this great stuff. So getting sediment from the fresh fruit of the banana. You're getting these earthy tones. You're getting this natural sweetness from the fructose that occurs in the cooking of it and the maceration of it. You're getting a beautiful banana nose, but I was getting no taste of banana. And I spent ages doing this, and then I was about to bin it off, and then I can't remember. I don't know, the end of the first lockdown, second lockdown, third lockdown. I can't remember. I got invited to a house party in Hackney Wick, and then as any good house party guest does, you go and buy something to turn up with, right?
Yeah.
So I go to a corner shop, get a couple of bottles of rum down, and I walk round to the counter, and I see a bag of banana chips. I think, banana chips. So I buy a big bag of banana chips and take them with me to the party. And I basically spend all night on this party cooking banana chips into rum, right? And getting everyone wasted on it. And this time, I'm getting this horrible looking yellow liquid, but I'm getting all this taste of banana. So I email my manufacturer in France that day, and a few weeks later I get this sample back. There's this horrible colour liquid, but no nose, none of that other good stuff. But I got this taste of banana.
Whoa. Okay.
So I ended up with 5-day maceration of fresh fruit in the rum.
Yeah.
And a 5-week maceration of dry fruit in the rum. And then it's a 50-50 blend. 100% natural, no added sugar. But you've got to go through this process in order to get real flavour into a product. You've got to go through this process. So I talk my hands, so I'm knocking the mic.
No, it's fine. I love it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people romanticise, don't they, starting a business and being a founder and having the name founder attached to you. But you know as well as anyone, and every founder I've had on here, it's not glamorous.
No.
It's really hard. But the reality involves a hell of a lot of production, as we've spoken about, trial and error, distribution, regulation, because you're an alcohol brand, and a hell of a lot of logistics.
Yep, correct.
What were the biggest challenges in the early days of launching Hoxton Gin?
I mean, money always.
Yeah.
Money's hard work, isn't it? So you end up spending time raising money rather than focus on running your business, because especially in this, in this game, you're up against some big players with writing some big checks.
Deep pockets.
So like, you have to have, investment to keep the lights on, and the regulation, due diligence for each market. I mean, you just don't know what's in front of you. Like, for instance, running a cash flow in a bar is quite easy to do because you know what your peaks and troughs are. You know that in summer, if you've not got any outside space, it's going to go down, and winter it's going to come up. If you're heavy geared on outside space, in the winter it'll be the opposite. Which are going to be your busy weekends. So you've got a pattern throughout the year, and you can plan your cash flow and your costs around that. In this game, I started speaking to a distributor in Indonesia 2 years ago, right? So it's like, I had an LOI, a letter of intent, to get distribution in Indonesia. Then we're like, okay, right, so it's a Muslim country, predominantly a Muslim country. All the recipes need to be registered with their
principality
and their board and all the rest of it. 2 years. 2 years to get those licenses before you can even talk about getting an order. So like all of a sudden, so if you're thinking, okay, well, 6 months from point of getting commitment to accessing the market and getting an order and getting some cash in, if you put that in your cash flow, there's going to be a big gap. So that there's just so much you just don't know, and you've got to pick your way through as you go. And we're getting quite good at it now.
Yeah, of course. You better as time
there
goes
is just so much in the beginning that you just are not aware of.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And what would you say was probably your biggest mistake looking back?
Oh, I mean, I met an investor that let me down big time.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, that was horrible, and that put me in a really, really bad situation. It nearly sunk me. And you just and I suppose. I was too. The reason that deal got done was because I was too much in a rush, and I was like desperate for funding, and like a significant amount of funding to keep the lights on, so I could focus on running the business. And I was sick of doing investment meetings every 30 seconds, so I was sort of attracted to that. My head was turned, and to be honest, if I hadn't done that, I would have been in a much better place. So, but you just, for me. Throughout my life, I've been successful and I've failed, right? But I learned more from my failures than I ever did my successes. In fact, my successes turned me into a cocky git. Whereas like the failures humble you. They're lessons that you can take and take forward. And also, I also see moments of failure as a cleansing experience, and it's cathartic because you end up with the people in your life that you're supposed to have. Because when you're successful on your way up, there's a lot of people that will try and come with you. But then when you're on a bit of period of bad luck, you'll realise and recognise who's supposed to be around, because they're the people that are with you from thick and thin.
100%.
So I think I love the term rise and fall. In fact, it's my next tattoo on my knuckles.
Is it?
Yeah. Because I think the falling is more important than the rising. I really do believe that. It's just part of the journey, and if you're too fixated on the destination, you won't enjoy the ride getting there. And I think you've got to take stock and enjoy the moments and the hardships and the wanting to do it. And
I really agree with you, and I don't think I'd ever felt that until last November when I hiked the Inca Trail.
Wow.
Really, really, really wanted to hike the Inca Trail, and I wanted to get to the destination, see Machu Picchu. And we did this 5-day trek, off the side, up the side of the Andes, and we stayed in tents, we carried all our own food, and just did this amazing 5-day hike. I got to Machu Picchu, and I was faced with hundreds of influencers with their selfie sticks, I'm at the top of Machu Picchu, and I just thought, what I've just done
was way more important. Yeah.
And I'd never been in a situation before where the journey meant more. I'd never had that experience other than then. And I was just you guys, okay, amazing. You've seen, a wonder of the world, and Machu Picchu is obviously phenomenal to see. Definitely recommend. Obviously go see it. And they might not have had the time. I don't know what their story was. But the journey of getting to Machu Picchu and the giggles we had along the way, and when we were weeing on the side of a mountain in the middle of the night and there might be a bear, that stuff was so cool. And the people we met and who we were with, that was so much cooler than like the end
than
goal.
the arrival. Yeah, I believe that. And I also think that the main difference between success and failure, one word, perseverance. Like if you're not prepared to just grit your teeth and go through it when it all seems impossible, and everybody in your life's telling you give the ghost up, right? You've got to be able to find a way through if it's something you believe in, and that hardship and that test of endurance is what sustains you. Because when you get beyond it and you're like, oh, okay, I have done it and I have got to the next point. Now, nothing's ever sort of final, but like you've got to enjoy going through those hurdles and those obstacles and navigating your way through to that next stage.
Yeah,
right?
100%. And your gut is like your massive guardian angel in this. And again, another example where this like came into play for me was last week. We were talking in the lift. I got stuck in Dubai.
I mean, that's a madness, right?
That was a madness. But the amount of people that like opinions I had of people being like, oh, you better stay put, you know, it's risky going to Oman. But I was like, no, I'm going to ignore all of you. I have to go to Oman. That's their only flights going out of Muscat. I need to leave this country. Everyone was like, stay put, stay put, stay put. And I just said, no, like I can't listen to another opinion. I'm getting on a coach for 12 hours and I'm going to Oman. I got home.
Yeah.
But if I'd stayed, I might still be there.
Yeah. Well, everyone has an opinion as a spectator.
Yeah.
Don't they? But I mean, at the end of the day, you're in it.
Exactly.
You know it, and you got to know yourself.
Yeah.
And you've got, and at the end of the day, like, what's the worst that can happen?
Well, in that scenario,
Well, in that scenario, yes. My scenario, we ain't got life and death.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it fails. Well, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, do something else. But like, I wouldn't ever want to have given up just because I gave up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if I've got the possibility of getting beyond and doing that next bit, then I'm going to try and do it, because you just don't know otherwise,
Absolutely.
Don't want to squander the chance.
And there's a lot of gins now in the category. As you said, like it's quite a crowded market. There's loads and loads. How do you guys constantly stay ahead of competition and always make sure that you guys are the ones like at the forefront of people's minds?
Well, I suppose like for me, we're not just a gin brand anymore. So we've got 6 products at the moment. We've got 2 more on the way. We've got Amaro, we've got banana rum, we've got spiced whiskey. And what we are is essentially a portfolio of flavoured spirits. That's premium.
They look so
spirits.
cool. I love them.
Thank you so much. They're like little collector's items.
They are they are little collector's items. You need like key rings now.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I'll nick that.
Yeah, I like the idea of having a key ring of that.
So like it's and like we just try and focus on building advocacy in trade, doing cool stuff that's authentic, and like working hard. I mean I think this year we'll probably be in over 20 markets. And like you just don't know what you don't know, right? Like Amaro, the London Spritz, that is in 1,700 supermarkets in Australia.
Wow.
Like
in what, Coles is it or?
That's it. No, Coles has got banana rum and spiced whiskey. The Amaro's in Dan Murphy's and BWS.
Okay, yeah.
But I thought that was gonna. I kind of did that as a labour of love.
Yeah.
I think like the aperitivo market has got like there's a lot of products in there with no real fruit and loads of sugar.
Yeah.
And that is low sugar and loads of real fruit. 450 grams of real fruit per litre of alcohol and very low sugar content, right? So I just did it as a labour of love. Like, I never expected to sell 20,000 cases of that stuff globally, let alone to one customer in Australia. Like, you don't know what you don't know until you give it a punt, right?
Absolutely. We were speaking about ideas and about keyring. I just had a really good idea for your business cards.
Go on.
So you know how you get minis? Yeah. That should be your business card. But it should have like your name and your number and your email on it, and like you give out minis.
Can we hire you?
I don't know why, but I was thinking about minis, and then I was like, oh, keyring. But then I was like, oh my gosh, you need minis.
Like a little mini bottle.
Yeah, but it has your name, your email, and be like, oh, that's my business card. And then
that's a very good idea.
That's cool.
I might steal it.
Go for it. Yeah, that would be unbelievable. How that would just be such a flex, getting that out of your pocket.
I don't know how expensive it would be.
Yeah, I know. Do. I haven't thought about logistics or cost, but there's your idea. And like coming from hospitality and how like being a founder, as we spoke about, was like never in your like spectrum of thoughts. I'm curious about how that approach has actually like made you the founder that you are, and do you think that bartenders and operators have an advantage when building a drinks brand?
So the second part of the question, definitely yes. I think at the end of the day, bartenders are aware of trends. They're aware of the craft that goes into making these things, and can develop things in a way like the way I've kind of deployed my expertise is kind of thinking about the end consumption. Like, how do you create something in the bottle with the customer in mind at the end of it, right? So, like, you don't have to be a mixologist to make these products taste good. Like, if you put one ingredient into one of my products, it tastes like a cocktail. And I think that's a unique take on developing a spirits brand, right? That to have, like, the end use in mind from the outset, rather than looking at the liquid in isolation, thinking about the journey and the experience of the customer and how the thing is going to be used, like at home, in a bar. I think that gives you an advantage as a bartender in terms of developing these products. I mean, as a founder, I don't know. I suppose the biggest thing is, like, if you come from hospitality, you have a kind of relentless mindset towards work, right? Like, there's not many industries where working 70 to 100 hours a week is normal.
None.
So, like,
really. Banking, maybe.
So like, like when you're founding a business, like, there is so much to do all of the time. You're never off.
Yeah.
And I think that's been particularly helpful for me, is like, having that foundation of that graft and that work ethic kind of makes it bearable when you're up at 6 a.m. and then talking to Australia at midnight. Like, it's just, it's part of who you are already.
Well, my next question was going to be, what have you, like, remembered from the bar's days most that you've taken through to your, like, where you are now? But would it be that, like, constant, relentless work ethic?
I think so as well, and also just having fun with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't take myself too seriously. I don't take the business too seriously. I'm not like, okay, look, we can geek out about the science of what's in the bottle, but that's really not what the brand's about. The brand's about having fun, not taking itself too seriously. Like, I'm not telling you how to drink it. You want to put Coke or Sprite with tropical gin? Tastes great, do it.
Yeah.
Like for me, like, that kind of just, enjoyment of life that I've had from the bar industry, I've sort of tried to bring through into this. I mean, like, we're in Manchester on Tuesday. I'm still recovering from it. We went up there and threw a massive party.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we did. We basically went up there. We had disciples there. We flew lines in from Athens, which is the top 8 bar in the world. Those guys came over, did a bar takeover for us in a wicked little bar called Tangerine in Manchester. Like, they did the cocktails, and I called a favour from Luke from the Disciples, and he DJ'd for me, and we just threw a big old knees up. Like,
That's
like,
cool.
we didn't bother about talking about liquids or anything like that. Literally, come and drink some of the products and listen to some great music.
Yeah, but that's so key, because people hate being sold to.
Yeah.
Like, people really don't enjoy, being marketed a product. But if you're saying, look, enjoy my drink at a party, hopefully, like, one day down the line they'll go buy it because they enjoyed it that time and they remember that time they had with you.
Exactly it.
And speaking a bit about, like, the business side and the capital, kind of, obviously only share what you're happy to share here. But what are you guys turning over now as a business?
Oh, I don't know if my business partner will like me saying
Fine.
that.
No, fair enough.
We're on track to do somewhere between 40 and 60,000 cases this year.
That's insane.
So that'll give you an idea.
Yeah, that's so cool. And what's the next, like, 5 years of growth for you guys? What's the plan?
So I'm currently underdeveloped with some new product development. So we've got a vodka coming.
Yeah,
We've got a tequila coming.
Cool.
And we might also have a range of RTDs, just because I'm twitchy git. I can't stop.
No, but it's how buzzballs took over the world, didn't they? So I feel like
and obviously we've got the distribution, and one of the ways you can advance further growth is through new product development. And also, like, try things. Like, for me, like, if one of those products didn't sell, like, I'd stop producing it.
Yeah.
Like if I've got the ability to turn around new product development, it's my passion.
Yeah.
So, like, if I can sit in a lab and create new products all day and that's all I did, I'd be quite happy with that. So, like, why not, throw some stuff at the wall and see if it sticks?
Yeah,
Do you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Absolutely. And looking back, what has been the hardest moment in building Hoxton Gin?
Wow. Well, I mean, it's just the, the pits and troughs of being an entrepreneur, nearing bankruptcy, several moments, it cost me a marriage.
Yeah, hopefully just the one.
Well, yeah, so I'm not great at being married, to be fair. But yeah, you know, like it's hard yards. Like it's hard yards. Like you know, and I've had some dark moments. Like obviously, moments where I've slept in the office. You know, trying to avoid a disaster or something going on, or meeting a production schedule, or you know, investors not turning up with money. But like, you know, just grit your teeth and try and get through it.
And what mistake ended up being the best lesson?
I suppose overordering stock.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, because, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, how do you forecast a global market? You know, how do you do that? Well, I didn't know. So, like,
that's a tough question, isn't it?
Like, you know, we ordered way too much stock. And then we're paying for storage and all the rest of it. And I think, like, you know, sometimes, like, just revising your ambition, like, and just, you know, having a bit of a word with yourself, and also like bringing expertise. I think that's another thing that I've kind of learned in time. Like when I was a bar operator, I was a massive control freak, and I used to do everything myself. Right, I used to run the company, I used to develop the menus, I used to do the hiring, I used to build the training programs, just do all this stuff with the help from my brother at the time. And like now, like, you know, we've got a CEO in, so I'm not CEO anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know, someone that's got the expertise in finance and doing the day-to-day stuff that needs to be done, so I can focus on what I'm good at. I brought in a wonderful person called Stuart, who comes from, he was high level at Bacardi, was the MD of Campari UK, brought him in. Like, you know, got to have people around you to listen to.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you try and do it all yourself, like, especially in an area where you're new to it, which I was, you know, I've been in the business my whole life, but I'd never tried to run I'd never tried to build an international drinks company before. Like, it's a very different skill set to running and operating bars. You know, and I try to apply the same level of commitment and ownership over every facet of the business initially, like I did with the bars, without having the understanding or the expertise to do so. And I, you know, and it's weird because people around me early on have told me stuff. Like, I'll never forget, like, an investor of mine, really great guy. He was the guy that's the founder of Just Eat, a guy called Bo Benston, said to me really early on in my career, you know, the secret to success is hiring good people around you and knowing what you're good at and what you aren't. And like, I don't know why I didn't heed his advice, because he said that to me 10 years before I started listening to it. You know, like, it's a crazy thing. But again, that comes from lessons and mistakes. Like, you know, it's very easy to take advice and not listen to it, or heed advice and not listen to it, until, like, you've made the mistakes that make that advice count, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, your mindset at the time when you heard it might not have been, like, exactly where you needed to be to hear it.
Yeah, and also, like, when you're young, you're cocky, right?
Yeah, you are. You're like, I don't need your advice. I know everything.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, so, with benefit of age and making mistakes and stuff, you start listening, you know, and you're also more humble and more prepared to take things on.
Yeah. If Hoxton Gin went tomorrow, what would you be most proud of? And then what also would you be doing?
I would be most proud of giving it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, honestly, like, it's you know, it's not everyone, no one how many people build an international drinks brand? Not that many.
Yes.
So to try.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and also, like, to have, you know, met great people, had great people work with me and help me build this thing along the way. I mean, it's a great thing to do. Like, even just like being in events where you've got several hundred people tasting the thing that you've spent years developing and creating, like, it's a trip. What would I do? I'd probably open a bar.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier that you've got kids.
I do.
So is the thread going to continue to the little ones? Hopefully they're not on the booze just yet.
My eldest is 17.
Okay, so fine. She can have...
turn 18.
Okay, she can definitely have a few drinks.
He? Yeah, and you know, you know, he's thinking about it, maybe. Third generation, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
That'd be so cool. Yeah, what would he do? Would he be at bar? Would he be in...
Oh, a bartender, I reckon. Like,
do you think?
I'd love to see him do something. Look, even if he doesn't want to do it as a career.
Yeah.
You know, he's very smart. He's much smarter than I am. So he probably won't. But I think it's a great thing to dabble in. Also, just for that work ethic and the confidence of like interaction and meeting people.
Yeah, also
Nothing
pick up
like
some nice girls, I'm sure he would.
Well, you know, I try not to encourage him in that line.
I don't believe you there, funnily enough. Quick one before we wrap up. Trends. What are you seeing as like the next big trend in spirits?
I mean, everyone's banging on about no, but like honestly, like seriously, like are we really going to go down the route of distilling water and selling it for like massive margins? Like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I don't like it. I think it's a rip. Like, I really got to be honest.
Yeah.
I did dabble with it, and I couldn't make anything taste nice. So stick to what you know, which is booze. I think low's got place. I think lower ABV products are a place where the industry should be looking at. Like, there's nothing wrong with limiting consumption. I also think that we've got to look at sugar quantity in our industry. Like we've got mad amount of sugar in a lot of our products. And I really feel that the recategorization of spirits needs to happen. You know, we've got really outdated terminology. You know, anything that doesn't conform to the traditional spirit categories get lumped into spirit drink, which is, for me, a more misleading word.
Yeah, interesting.
Than I mean, like, if you look at spiced whiskey, right? That is whiskey that has been spiced. There is no additives outside of whiskey that has been macerated with a botanical and then blended, right? So the front label is spiced whiskey. Now, the drinks industry insist on me putting spirit drink on the back label because they feel that the term on the front is misleading. What's misleading about spiced whiskey? It is whiskey that has been spiced. And we're sort of clubbing all of the sort of anything that doesn't fit into a traditional category into this sort of homogenistic bubble of spirit drink. You know, you've got, if you want to have low alcoholic products, they do not conform with the traditional categories. So, like, if you want a spirit to be a spirit in the UK, you know, you have to be 38% above. Well, then you're into renaming it some other thing, which is like, I don't know, a botanical drink. Well, how do you sell a botanical drink? Because someone types in vodka or types in gin into a search engine on a shop, botanical drink doesn't come up. So it's sort of alienating consumers because consumers can't find the products that they're desiring because, you know, we're not catering to what's happening and what customers want.
Yeah.
So I personally think that there needs to be a whole shake-up in the industry and a recategorisation of everything to suit the modern era of drinking and consumption, because ultimately we want consumers to be able to find what they want to drink.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that what you said about the language is really interesting. It's something I've really never thought about. But yeah, that does need a whole shake-up.
You know, like everyone's obsessed with me putting a do not drink when pregnant logo on there, right? I mean, like, if we don't know that by now, I don't know what is. But
so true.
But yeah, you know, there's no obligation on me to to even list all the ingredients in a bottle. Like, there's nothing incumbent on me to list every ingredient that's on the bottle. At all.
Yeah, that's mental.
Right? So I can put umpteen E numbers in there. I can put 1,000 grams of sugar in it. There's nothing incumbent on me to tell you, the consumer, that that's what I'm doing. At all. Also, if I start off producing a recipe, right, with real methods, so distillation, and then I want to switch to an essence, and I'm not going to mention any brands, but lots of brands have done this.
Yeah.
There is nothing incumbent on them to tell you that we've gone from distilling actual botanicals to now sticking an essence in there instead to save on my margin.
Okay,
like,
so there's a lot of like stuff that needs to change. Yeah,
it's a crazy thing, you know. And I just think that we've got to really wake up and, like, you know, like, this stuff needs to happen.
Yeah.
And the reason it doesn't happen is because it doesn't suit a lot of the big players.
Yeah, the big boys. Well, I generally have smaller kind of alcohol brands on the biz anyway, so I like to give them a voice. But I did have the Guinness family on.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool. I love a Guinness.
That was pretty cool, actually. You should listen to that episode. The legacy and Guinness was amazing. And then he invited me to his house. I went to the house of Guinness, and I was like, it was just all mental. It was the coolest thing ever.
Well, that's amazing, man.
It was, but have a listen to that episode. It's brilliant.
I will.
Right, I've just got 4 quickfire round questions for like socials, and then we'll grab a pick, and then we can have a chit chat, and you're free to go.
Wicked.
Sweet, so I'm going to just keep rolling. Right, so quick fire round with the founder of Hoxton Gin. Ready, let's go. Best bar in the world.
Oh. Well, if I don't say one of my dad's, he's going to kill me, but I do think Sips in Barcelona's up there. You got to go to the Donovan bar for a proper martini.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my dad's bar, so I've got to say it.
We've got to say that one.
Otherwise he'll shoot me.
Yeah, we'll put that in here now to go there. Most overrated cocktail.
My God. Most overrated cocktail. This is not that quick fire.
Oh, literally. I should do a reel of just not that quick fire, not that quick fire.
I mean, I don't know. Most overrated cocktail. This is hard.
I think a mojito, in my opinion.
Oh, I love a mojito.
Oh, I can't get on board.
Sorry, a Negroni?
No! See, that's... Okay, I like that one.
Sorry. Too many Negronis on menus. Too many people drinking them. And I like citrus as well, so there's no citrus in Negroni.
Okay, fair enough. So that is flavour profile. One thing founders misunderstand about the drinks industry.
I'm not that good at quickfire rounds, am I? One thing that founders misunderstand about the drinks industry. Routes to market. Routes to market. Like, if you can't just go and get stocked in a bar. You've got to set up routes to market first. Yeah. It's very difficult.
One thing bartenders know about consumer behaviour that brands don't.
The spirits and how to mix spirits. You know, like a bartender will be able to tell you, you know, what a consumer wants, right? Brands, they're generally developed by marketing agencies that don't understand consumer behaviour.
And finally, what does success look like for you now?
More distribution, more bars, and continuing to be able to grow.
And then on a personal note?
Contentment.
Yeah, nice. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been so fab.
Thank you very much.